Being 17 is a great time. High school's almost over, and the future is yours for the taking. At least that is what two 17-year-old girls thought in 1971 outside of Vermillion, South Dakota, until they vanished without a trace. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Sean. If you're new here, then welcome. And if you're a returner, then you've already won. Twice a week, I research and try to tell you about some true crime that I find interesting. Mondays and Fridays are the days. I always release them at 9 a.m. Central. If you're not subscribed, please do so. It helps, and then you can be up to date on my releases. And if you want to get a membership, you can get a membership that gives you extra content. Now on with our story. Pamela Jackson and Cheryl Miller were two high school juniors in Vermillion, South Dakota. They were both 17 and having the time of their lives. This was May 29th, 1971. The girls were driving in Cheryl's grandfather's 1960s Studebaker Lark. Here's a picture. It is not the actual car. They were driving to a keg party at a gravel pit in Union County. The girls were following Pat Gale, Steve Glass, and Mark Logterman. The boys said that they were driving north when they realized that they had missed a turn. So they turned around and went back south toward where the party actually was, and the girls were no longer behind them. Ken Mollett and Mary Kay Larson, who were both seniors, they were behind the girls and stated that they watched the girls turn left when they should have turned right. They found it really funny. That was the last they ever saw the girls. The girls were good. They did tell their parents that they were just going roller skating that evening, but they didn't drink and they didn't do drugs. But that night they wanted to do something that regular teenagers did, and that was go to a party. Pam's mother was shocked when she found that Pam was not home at 4 in the morning. And this was around the same time that Cheryl's parents noticed that she wasn't home. They both started searching for their kids, and they couldn't find them. They couldn't find the vehicle. They couldn't find their kids. So they filed a missing persons report with the police. Well, the police said that they had to wait 24 hours before filing a missing persons report, which I think has changed since then, but a lot of things can happen in 24 hours. On May 31st of 1971, the police started investigating for the missing girls. They finally did the missing person report. This was well over 24 hours since the girls were last seen. The police interviewed all the classmates, and they told them what I had previously said. They had met at a church outside of town, and they were going to follow each other to go to the gravel pit. The one guy said that when they turned around, the girls weren't behind him anymore, and the other group said, yeah, they turned left instead of right. At first, the police thought they might have gotten into an accident or driven into the Missouri River, which, when I look at the map, the Missouri River is not even, it's south from where they were. But they searched around and didn't find tire tracks or any evidence to support this. People started to talk, and some of them spread rumors that the girls had run away. Cheryl had told her younger sister that she had dreamt of being a model and traveling the world. She had family out in California, so people thought maybe she convinced Pam to drive out there. But there was no evidence to prove this. In fact, neither girl had cashed their paychecks from the previous week, so they didn't even really have that much money to travel with. And her relatives in California said that they never showed up. On June 14th, Victor Hansen contacted the Clay County Sheriff's Office to report some information on Pam's disappearance. He said that he didn't really know if it meant anything or what, but he was a neighbor. He just wanted to report this because of something he found odd. He stated that he overheard Pam talking to a man named David on a party line. Now, if you don't know what a party line is, back in the day on landlines, uh, multiple households would be hooked up to the same phone line. So if one person was on it, none of the other people could be. But it was an easy way to eavesdrop on your neighbors. During the conversation, she and David were talking about being hungover and how he slammed her hand into a car door. David then stated that he wished that he had a camera to be able to take pictures of her. It sounded provocatively. Victor believed he believed that David was a student at the University of South Dakota in Vermillion. Otherwise, he didn't know who this David was. At that time, nothing came of the report. There was nothing really, besides searching and things like that, they couldn't figure out what happened to the girls. So the case went cold pretty quickly. In 2004, Detective Ray Hoffman was investigating David Lycan. Lycan was a serial artist of the SA kind, and Hoffman was reviewing cases of his victims. While investigating, he came across a report from Victor about Pam talking to a David. At that time, Lycan was 17, and his family farm was a short distance from where the girls were last seen. Hoffman made some inquiries, but other than that, there was no other investigations. Later on in 2004, in May, the Division of Criminal Investigations, Fred Devaney, he went to Vermillion and met with detectives Lowell Olson and Crystal Brady. They started interviewing victims of Lycans. One stated that on his farm he had a car parked there that kind of resembled the girl's missing car. The police showed her a lineup of a whole bunch of different cars, and she pointed to the Studebaker Lark. Another victim drew a rough map of the farm, and she spoke of the pit where he had on the farm. She never really went into detail about it, but whenever she did talk about this pit, she got very anxious, very frightened. And she believed that Lycan was capable of murder. In 2004, Lycan was already serving a 225-year term for kidnapping and the R word. One of his victims stated that he knew Pam. They lived near each other and they're both 17, so he knew her. And he used to attend these keg parties in the area, even when he was well into his 20s. And the party that the girls were going to was actually close to his farm. Pam's dad, Oscar, he remembers Pam had a hurt hand previously to her disappearance. He didn't know why her hand was hurt, but it was hurt. Just like Victor reported to the sheriff about a David slamming her hand in the car door. Another one of Lycan's victims stated that he told her that there were some girls buried on his farm. I don't know if this was an intimidation thing or were there really girls buried on his farm. They still didn't really do anything about it. In September, they issued a search warrant for Lycan. But that was in 2004. They really didn't start searching until later. And a jailhouse informant stated that Lycan confessed to the murders of the girl and a grand jury finally was convened in 2007. A search of the farm found nothing, and unfortunately the charges were eventually dropped when they found out that the informant lied. He was trying to reduce his own sentence by giving out false accusations by him. The case went cold again. In September of 2013, South Dakota was hit with a terrible drought. It was drying up many of the waterways. One of the waterways was Brule Creek. It was a creek north of Vermilion. A local fisherman went out to the creek right off of 310th Street to do what fishermen do. And he noticed something that should not be there. A pair of car tires, were breaking through the surface of the water. He contacted the authorities. They came out and got the vehicle out right away. And what did they find? A 1960s Studebaker. It was not just any Studebaker, though. It was the one driven by Cheryl and Pam. The license plate actually confirmed that it belonged to Cheryl's grandmother. In the front seat were the bodies of Cheryl and Pam. Now, they didn't know right away if it was them. They had to send them away for DNA testing and things like that, but it was Cheryl and Pam. The car was still in third gear, and the keys were still in the ignition. The lights were still in the on position, so they noticed that one of the tires were damaged, and they didn't know if it was because of when they were driving, like they had a blowout, or if it got damaged in the wreck or whatnot. But they did notice that the tire treads on the tires were all low. What they can figure is that they lost control of the vehicle right before the bridge went off into the creek. Cheryl's driver's license was found along with her purse. They determined that there was no foul play. It was just an accident. Everything about this case is sad. And the sadness is not over yet. 5 days before the girls were found, Oscar Jackson died. 5 days before his daughter Pam was found, he died. For 42 years, he searched for her. He searched almost daily for his daughter. He scoured through the riverbeds, creeks, and woods around Vermilion. These two friends were gone for too long. It's so sad that it affected so many. My heart goes out to the family, out to Oscar, who for years of searching died before his daughter was even found. It really pains me to think that since he was searching water, the banks of rivers and stuff like that, could he have been close to his daughter at one time, searching that very area? He could have just been feet away from her and not even realize it. And that's terrible. It's really sad. So I hope that they all rest well, and I hope that you enjoyed this story of Cheryl and Pam's. Thank you for being here. If you're not subscribed, please do so. I know I say that all the time, but it really does assist me. It's a big help, because then I know that I'm actually doing something decent. As always, be good to yourself. Be good to others. Love you all. See you next time. Bye.